So as far as Group A is concerned, well, there we've got Chen Long at number 1 and Hans Christian Wittinghus at number 2. I make them exactly even. It's all come down to the number of points won or lost, because both of them are won in 2 straight games. So looking at the other group, well, the only match in that so far was Jan Jorgensen, the number 2 seed. He beat Tommy Sugiato 21-15, 21-9. So, of course, Jorgensen leads Group B. Momota and Shrikant Kadambi will play later on today. So our next match is men's doubles, and the defending champions Mohamed Hassan and Hendra Setiawan of Indonesia. Here they come. What beautiful sights of the golf course in the middle of the desert here in Dubai. Of course, great sporting city this has become, Dubai Desert Classic Golf. And now it's home for 4 years of the BWF Destination Dubai World Super Series Finals.
And let's hear it for their opponents from China,
Chai Biao and Hong Wei of China. Moved up to number 6 at the end of year Destination Dubai rankings after reaching the last 16 of the last event, the Hong Kong Open. So this is a Group A match.
White or blue?
Other 2 pairs in this group.
Blue. Okay.
The number 1 seeds Lee Yong
White.
Dae and Yu Young Sung,
So you can
and also the world champions Go Sung Hyun and
Okay.
Shin Baek Chol.
That
Those 2
end,
Korean
yeah. Okay,
players
who will be the receiver?
played each other earlier,
Oh, okay.
and it was the world number 1s Lee Yong Dae and Yu Young Sung that won that encounter in 2 straight games. So after the toss of the coin, the players will change ends before the start of this match. So the defending champions and former world champions from Indonesia, the number 4 seeds here this year. Mohamed Hassan on the left as we look at them, and I do beg your pardon, he's on the right as we look at them, and Hendra Setiawan on the left. So world ranking at the moment of 2, as I say, Super Series ranking went up 2 places to number 4 after winning the Hong Kong Open. 8 Super Series tournaments this year, 4 finals, winning 2 of them, the All England and the Hong Kong. So as far as the Chinese pair are concerned, Chai Biao, 24, from Fujian province. Hong Wei, tall man, he is too. So Hong Wei's on the left as we look at them, 25
Ready to play.
years of age. Current world ranking of 7. That's the highest they've ever been. So this is their 4th week at a career high number 7. So they've been in 2 Super Series finals this year. Lost both of them. So there our umpire for this one, Simon Au from Hong Kong, and Bert van Horenbeck of Belgium is the service
Ladies
judge.
and gentlemen, on my right, Muhammad Ashan Hendra Setiawan, Indonesia. On my left, Chai Biao Hong Wei, China. Muhammad Hassan to serve to Hong Wei. Love all, play.
Oh, what a start. Oh my goodness me. Well,
1 love.
Chinese pair thought the low serve was short, but it was called good. So a good start by the defending champions. Now this is the second
Service
meeting
over.
between these 2 pairs.
1
The
all.
first meeting was, and the only meeting, was in the final of the 2013 Japan Super Series, won by the Indonesians in 2 straight games. It's almost 18 months since they last played against each other, and seeing as they're both very regular pairs on the World Tour, I'm a little surprised by that, Morten.
Yes, absolutely. But the Indonesian pair has had some injury problems lately as well. So that's obviously adding on to it. And in all honesty, I only think that the Chinese combination is really sort of getting up there in the top 10 lately. They have been a good pair, but they have not been a pair getting regularly to quarterfinals and semi-finals before now.
4-1.
Yeah, well, they only formed their partnership at the German Open last year, so it is very nearly 2 years together. But as we've discussed before, I think the Chinese national coaching staff have swapped pairs about. They've experimented with pairs. So, but I think now that they are really settled in this partnership, you're right, they're really beginning to challenge.
I think so. They are beginning to challenge, and we see them, as I say, at a quarter-final stage, even semi-final,
Yeah,
a lot more regularly now, and that's obviously also why they're 7 in the world now.
yeah,
So it's sort of self.
explanatory.
Thank you. That's one of the blessings working with you. You know what I'm going to say.
2-6. Hold. 3-6. Service over. 7-3.
Well, I have to say, I think the Indonesians have been a little bit lacklustre at the start of this. They don't seem really to be firing on all cylinders. A little laid back for my liking.
Yeah, you know, you and I, once again, we've been watching them lately, and I must admit that I think they lost a little bit of the magic. I know they won the Asian Games, and that's
Yeah.
obviously a big tournament to win, but somehow I think lately they lost the spark. Not saying that they can't pick it up later in this match, but I think this is a quite fine example of it. Look at if you look at Hassan, you know, he's just virtually standing there.
Well, I mean, it actually occurred to me in that rally, was he 100% fit? Because he was just lifting the shuttle. So,
Yeah, but look at this. Look how he's standing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Racket down by his ankles,
Yeah.
not ready and alert at the net as he should be. There's definitely something not quite right. Yeah, there's another high lift. And again. And again. What on earth is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not fit. There's something drastically wrong.
5-7.
There he is. Muhammad Hassan, the 27-year-old from Palembang in South Sumatra.
Service over.
Well, this is quite
8-5.
extraordinary, Morton.
I think it is. There's definitely something wrong. You know, some kind of injury or even, you know, stomach problems. It could be, you know, look at that.
Yeah.
It's just leaving it.
9-5.
You know, if I was China, I would just lift to him and then see what happens.
Broken the strings of his racket, I think.
Yeah.
10-5.
Chai Biao.
Definitely. I think he's got a back injury. Look how he's standing.
Yeah. Well, considering he and his partner couldn't
10-5.
try and defend their world title as the #1 seeds in Copenhagen, they had to withdraw, and it was because Muhammad Hassan did have a back injury.
Service
So if
over.
there's been a reoccurrence of that, that will be
6-10.
desperately, desperately disappointing.
See,
Yeah. No.
7-10.
This does actually raise a bit of a question in my mind, though, Morton, because whilst I'm all in favour of a player battling on while they're injured and trying to do as best they can,
Service over.
I mean-
11-7. Interval.
this is so far off what he's capable of doing, you know. And is this it? Have they had enough? Yeah, that's it. He's withdrawing. Yep. Well, we thought there was something wrong, and that's the end of it. Mohammed,
Mohammed Hassan, Henry Satiawan retired. Match won by
Well,
Hongwei Chai Bao, 11-7.
I think the body language of Chai Biao at the end there spoke volumes, hands on hips, looking fairly fed up. Well, we're all desperately disappointed because I was very much looking forward to...
this was a good match.
Yes, exactly. And not a... I mean, such a good group, such a tough group. This Group A encounter. We've got the world #1s, we've got the world champions, we've got the former world champions, and this Chinese pair. I thought this men's doubles group was going to be an absolute cracker. What disappointment that Muhammad Hassan has withdrawn in this very first match.
那你这么打，你也可以当我知道吧？他对不对？很简单，他就是说，他不得不爬在头我，我跟你讲，我说别人那么快的时候，我没说，他就抽出来了，不是你抽出。他跟你说，边上的边线手，边上，多少这两三级，你那个不能插球，他这个地方是好的，对角好了，你上了边线，你完全不能往里边走，你那个正的时候，他对角想勾出来，基本是不可能，对不对？
Well, not a lot we can say other than how sad.
去你妈的，你那个。
Yeah, the next thing is obviously that the last match of today, the two women's singles,
to come.
are they ready, or are we having a small break here?
Well, as far as the men's doubles is concerned, that throws Group A really into not disarray, but of course with Lee Yong-dae and Yu Young-sung, the world number ones, having reversed the results of the World Championship final from Copenhagen earlier this year, beating their teammates here in Dubai, whereas they lost to them in Copenhagen, and beating Go Sung-hyun and Shin Baek-chul in 2 straight games, 21-14, 21-11. So, of course, with Chai Biao and Hong Wei officially winning that match, I do not believe that Mohamed Hassan will be able to play any more part in the BWF Destination Dubai World Super Series finals, and that is absolute tragedy for the defending champions. As far as Group B is concerned, well, no matches have been played so far. So we can at least see who's in the group, and Lee Cheng-mu and Sai Chia-sin are the number 2 seeds. Hiroyuki Endo and Kenichi Hawakawa of Japan, they're the number 3 seeds. Then you've got a second Chinese pair, Liu Xiaolong and Chu Sihan. Of course, they won the All England title last year. And Matthias Bo and Carsten Mogerson, what a record they have at Super Series finals. And if I can remember correctly, I think along with the Thailand mixed doubles pair of Suket Prakamol and Sarali Thongthongkam are the only other players to have contested every single Super Series finals tournament. Well, this really is bitterly disappointing, isn't it? We, of course, await our final match, and it features this lady, Saina Nehwal of India. My goodness, isn't she in good form, because she won the China Premier Super Series event, the second last of the Super Series. And I can tell you at Super Series final, she's already been in one final. That was 3 years ago, though, in Luzhou, where she lost out to Wang Yihan in the final. So the 24-year-old from India, well, 3 titles to her this year, 2 of them the Super Series. Australia, what a delight to see Australia as part of the Super Series for the very first time. And of course, with the world of badminton spreading globally, a Super Series event in Australia, and now the Super Series finals here in Dubai. It really is a wonderful spread of world badminton. So the tournament referee, Madame Isabelle Jovard of France, just explaining what has happened. 5 minutes, she wants them all to be ready. So not only the 2 titles for Saina Nehwal this year, apart from that, 6 quarterfinals. And Morten, I want to ask you about that as we look at Wang Shexian. There she is, the number 1 seed, a winner of the Super Series finals in 2010 edition, which was actually played in January 2011 in Taipei. Reached the final 2 years ago in Shenzhen, did Wang Shexian. She has won 3 Super Series titles this year, having been in 4 finals, and that's remarkable because it's the 4th consecutive year that, or 4th time in 5 years that she's been in 4 Super Series finals. So Morten, about Saina Nehwal and the fact that she's won 2 titles. Apart from that, the best is quarterfinals. Now that is quite a distinction. No semi-finals apart from when she's gone on to reach the final and win the title.
Yes, I think she's had a good year this year. 2014 has been a good year. She started off by winning the India Grand Prix Gold in January against her compatriots and played a very, very good final. After that, I think she did very well in the Yuba Cup for India. And that, I remember you asked me, say, okay, has any player been outstanding in this tournament? When we were, you know, looking at all the prize ceremonies and all that, I say, yes, I think there's one player, and that was Saina Nehwal. She
Yeah.
really played a fantastic Yupa Cup tournament.
Yes, and of course, as we're looking at Wang Shouxian, just before we finish about Sina Nehwal, we did get a glimpse a moment ago of her warming up with her
Yeah.
new coach,
The new
Vimal
coach, Kumar.
Kumar.
Yeah.
And therefore, I wonder whether the change has been a bit of an inspiration. It's always nice to do something new. That's not to knock her former personal coach, Pulana
No,
Gopichand.
absolutely not.
And, Gopichand needs to take a huge amount of credit for Sina Nehwal's development. As far as China is concerned, well, there's a whole host of players. The top 3 players to finish the Super Series standings, of course, the Olympic champion Li Xuerui was the #1, sadly injured and couldn't contest these Super Series finals, which means this young lady, Wang Shouxian, is the #1 seed. Former world champion Wang Yihan is the #2 seed. I mean, the strength in depth of Chinese women's singles is fairly extraordinary. And when you look at the Super Series throughout the year in women's singles, the top 3 Chinese players, plus Sina Nehwal, who we're about to see, have won 11 of the 12 Super Series tournaments between them. What statistic is that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. But again, I just have to say they are not unbeatable.
Yeah,
And as we've discussed it earlier, that women's singles is really into a major change. A lot of countries are really doing very well, and India's won, Thailand has won, Korea has won. Loads and loads of countries are doing very well in women's singles now. Taipei is doing well. You know, we can go on and on. And in the last 2 Super Series finals, Super
Yes.
Series tournaments,
yeah,
there were no Chinese players in the women's singles finals.
that's correct. Yeah,
And it just shows, I think it's changing.
Yeah.
And even though that China here has got seeded #1 and #2 player, they are definitely not sure to win.
No.
Definitely not sure.
I concur wholeheartedly.
So, you know, I think this is one of the most exciting lineups in the whole tournament.
Yeah. Well, here is Wang Shouxian, the #1 seed and former winner of the Super Series finals. 24 years of age from Suzhou in Jiangsu province, and she's up against the #3 seed, Sina Nehwal. Also 24 years of age from Haryana in northwestern India. Well, the magnificent sights. I was there yesterday, Morton Khalifa building.
Yeah, it's magnificent. And imagine, you know, you're flying over it now when
Yeah.
you're, you know, watching these pictures. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, just incredible.
828 meters, to be precise.
Spectacular view of a spectacular city.
And that is the Al Arab Hotel. It's a very fine hotel, part of the Jumeirah Group.
So after the disappointment of that men's doubles only halfway through the opening game, the players now gathering themselves for the last of our matches here on day 1 of competition, and the women's singles. And the #1 seed, there she is, Wang Shouxian, against the #3 seed,